Right now you have 24 drones there, so you have 6 drones that are doing absolutely nothing, actually. You're building 2 layers. There you go. And I like not taking the gas just yet, but you probably want to take the gas at your main. And then I would just start unrolling, or yeah. I mean, everything looks pretty normal. But the thing is that if he ever does catch on to this base, it's going to be go time at that moment.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to, the timing's different. You have to have more of an army beforehand.
Alright, so I'll start cranking out some stuff then.
Exactly. In normal circumstances, you can wait a while, but in this one you can't. And you can even do, I mean, this is the weird thing. We're both kind of learning on the fly here, but you've got all this money, and here it comes. So that shark mode's kind of initiated. He's going to check the tower. I love that you're delaying his thing with the lings, though. Just don't lose these lings, but see how you're actually buying yourself extra time here.
Yeah.
And that could be the killer for him. Low on gas, take a third, maybe even a fourth gas, and you're high on minerals. So maybe a macro hatch or something. But we got to compensate for the fact that you do just have ridiculous amounts of resources. And then once again, you're about 6 drones heavy. There you go. So you're taking the gas at that third. And this is actually so ridiculous. Like, your income is just through the roof.
Now the secret is out.
Yep, but it's like, and like I said, this is going to incur a direct result from the Protoss. No Protoss, well, most Protoss look at that and go, oh my god, I gotta go kill it right now. They will not wait for Colossus, they'll just come after you. And that's good if you're prepared to be able to clobber it. Now get these creep tumors down, because you are disconnected here and that's really hurting you. So perhaps even Overlord creep. Get Overlord. Okay, here he comes. And don't get caught on the ramp. That's actually terrible positioning. Let him come up, or meet him at the bottom, but do not come down that ramp. There you go, good. And the Zealots wandered ahead, Lings in the back a little bit, good. And this is just not a good position for him. You should be able to swarm this pretty quick. So you got to be bringing in units all over the place. And mix in Lings here too. That's one of the plights of a Zerg, is they think Lings are completely worthless, but they're really not. In this situation, at least. And your money's still running high, so start manning the gas at your second at least. Get those Lings going, good. And those Lings are going to chew up those sentries. They're also going to just soak up damage from the Stalkers. And once a Protoss loses an army like this, there's no coming back from it for the most part. So look to see if he's sustaining it, and if he's not, then you have to cover your bases. So you have a huge advantage here, but a couple things have slipped by the wayside. You don't know if he's taking his third right now. You don't have that fourth scouted at the natural at 6 o'clock. You're not dumping creep at every base. And your creep tumors are a little bit lackadaisical. You've got one in your main that's been there all game long. Okay, so now we got to sandwich this victory. I mean, he's not getting Colossus anytime soon. He's lost his army. He doesn't have sentries. I would just plow him. I would literally set all my rally points to the front of his base, and it would be just go time. And I would get that creep down so that you can actually do that, by the way. And now that you're going to cancel his third, this is it's semantics now. He's dead. But a good thing to talk about at this stage too is how can a Protoss come back?
DTs.
Yes. If you're this far ahead and you're floating 500 minerals, 500 gas like this, his army is consisting of like 7 Stalkers. I mean, we're super confident about victory here, but still, you know, make it a couple overseers at least. Get Overlord speed. Those are the, you know, that's the calm rationale. And this is what Zerg should look like. See, a lot of people don't like how passive you have to be a Zerg, but you know what? There are situations where you can just be brutally aggressive, and this is it. Now, a couple of things. We check your... I mean, that was a high-octane game. There was kind of a pressure point there. A couple of really important things. I love the Lings being mixed in. I think that's a huge mistake that a lot of Zergs don't make, or, excuse me, that a lot of Zergs do make, which is they just forget about it. They're like, oh, I got no gas for roaches. Make Lings, man. In that situation where he's just force fielding for his life, and he's kind of a kitty corner on a ramp like that. I mean, that's super specific. I don't even need to be that specific. Lings mixed in with your extra larva is just great. They're fantastic. And in fact, Katz actually uses those in late game as well, because he likes them against Colossus.
Yep, we talked about that yesterday.
Yeah. I feel like that's pretty situational as well. But a couple of really important things to pull away from this. You got away with this because you sold it. That drone, the pylon, the spawning pool, that was all good. Maybe earlier gas. Denying the scouting with those speedlings, I think, is a must. And then when he finds out about that base, you have to know very, very few Protoss will look at that and stay calm. They were actually going to freak out and send everything they got at you. So you cannot do the standard roach burrow, timing and consider yourself safe. You have to have a precursor number of roaches. You have to just start producing roaches and use your extra income to create the same standard timing for the roach burrow and speed.
Cool.
And then last but not least, too, in those positions, real quick, sorry. You're, like I said, with the creep, you're a little bit, you prioritize other things ahead of that, and that's okay because you're fighting and trying to survive. But that's actually super, super important. And if you can't get those creep tumors down, and even if you can, it's always a good idea to get Overlord speed, and then you had a bunch of Overlords clumped up. Just put them in a line heading to his base.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay, so we're playing this like a best of whatever. We're doing loser picks, and he's chosen steps.
Yep.
So
this is something I was pretty irate about yesterday, actually. I feel like with our small map pool and just like the 3 or 4 ridiculously imbalanced maps, this is the tough part about a series. But there are there are ways around this too. Did Katz talk about his favorite build on this map?
Yep, he said he's got 2 that he likes. One is 7 pool and then expanding to the gold, and the other is basically a 12 pool Evo chamber rush.
What does the Evo chamber do?
It prevents him from walling in, and then it gives you 6 broodlings to bust down the 1 zealot. And
yeah, he likes that.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious what your take on this map is for me as a Zerg player here.
Well, I first and foremost, I don't think Zerg should freak out quite as bad. Yes, Colossus are insanely powerful here, but you know what? So is Corruptors. Like, if the Protoss is leaning towards Colossus, like the standard ball, you can get a good solid 3 bases, and then you should be pushing to a 4th when that time of conflict happens. And I really like +1 Corruptor against Colossus. And I know that's non-unique, that's the same for every map.
Mm-hmm.
But on this map in particular, once you do win that fight, resaturating is actually 10 times more effective because you have to go half the distance until you're at their base, right? Whereas on Metalopolis, sometimes you resaturate, but they have just enough time to get enough units out where they're able to repel it. And that's one of the dangers of that. But in this game, as long as you do that high aggression after the first fight and their sentries are gone or dead, I feel like that's a good kind of game plan for us.
Okay, so would you say that maybe because it's steps, because he might be expecting something a little cheesy, should we just play it standard?
Well, that's a good point too. Psychologically speaking, in an extended series like this, we opened up with kind of a cheesy opening, taking that high yield first, so he is going to be on more of a high alert about that, and he's picking this map because he knows that it's a hugely Protoss favorite map. So there's a couple schools of thought here. Either you can follow it up with yet another cheesy build to really set up game 3 and 4, or you can go to standard and kind of alternate to it's actually stylistic. It's up to you, to be honest. If you follow this up with another cheese, it's like one part he's expecting it, and it's one part totally screwing with his head for game 3. So if it's a best of 3, it comes down to the player and what you want to tell them. Like, if you have a reputation for being cheesy, then it's not really messing with their brain very much. But if you're a standard player and you cheese twice, and they go 1-1 with you, it really screws with them for game 3.
All right. Well, I think I might try the 7 pool then.
That's what I would recommend.
And we would just
it's funny because well, Katz is so notorious for doing these builds that I'm like 5-0 against him on this map because I just 2-gate. So
that's hilarious. Last time I watched Katz stream, he tried to proxy hatch in base on this map against you, and it was pretty hilarious.
Oh, you watched that? Yeah.
Because Steps is such a small main. It's just like one bullet pops out and can see it.
Can't fault him though. I've seen him beat some really good Protoss with that.
So have I. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yep. It was a funny feeling to find it in that game though. I was like, oh, I haven't seen that since Brood War. That's weird.
Alright, so I'm gonna... Honestly, I'm almost expecting something cheesy out of him this game. But we'll see what happens. I'll go ahead and go with the 7 pool.
Yeah. I like that you're giving that open dialogue though, because these are important considerations to make when deciding how to play a series. But also, if you're looking to do some kind of gimmicky builds, you need to know that if they're expecting it and they see it coming, like the little short story I gave about cats. I've played him so many times this map and seen him play that I knew he was going to 7-pool me, so I just 2-gate, and it's a blind counter. If he does a standard build and he's getting gas first and he sees me 2-gating, it's not that I'm dead, but I'm certainly not in an optimal situation.
Right.
It's tough. He just goes into roaches, and I got to get my stalkers out ASAP.
So I don't really know how to do a 7-pool, so I'm going to go 2 drones and extractor check to make lings.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what it is.
Probably even make a 3rd drone.
And I think you only make the 6 lings. Because what you're forcing the Protoss to do is he's got to block down his ramp entirely. So this is screwing with his build a little bit. And he's got to block down his ramp entirely and chrono boost out a Zealot. And that's what he's hoping to do. Now he's actually doing something that's the best for us as a Zerg player, and you'll see.
And now I'm returning straight to droning in this situation?
Yeah. And I probably would have peeled off 1 ling and had it attack his probe just so it doesn't go off and cannon something or something like that. You want to keep tabs of that probe. Those probes are deadly, man.
Yes, they are.
And then when you pull up to this ramp, you want to attack the most attack surface you can. Pylon's probably the best choice. I think you get a 4th ling on it. There you go. Or I guess a 3rd. LOL. So in this chance, see, you're forcing him to make that cannon, and he's going to have to make a 2nd pylon here. And then just get right to attacking that one. Oh, and Zealot's out, which is actually good for us. Because that Zealot's not trapped. Now, Cats takes the other high yield, typically, I believe. But that's okay.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was just, I don't know.
It's okay.
Just being crafty. He'll never check here.
So now you just need a drone to crap. Even though there's a Zealot out, we're not really going to be concerned about it. You know he's made the photon cannon. The typical follow-up to this kind of stuff is either a 4-gate. Careful. There you go. Okay, no more. Is a 4-gate. Very few of them, or Stargate, I guess is what I want to say here. Very few of them will just go into a standard expansion build. And the 4-gate's hard. It's really deadly. So you have to time your drones like you have to leave now, probably. Yep. And you want to get those overlords in position for a sacrifice overload. You probably want one on the right side as well, if you can get over there in time. Because we're going to enter a period of time where you're going to be very uncomfortable with not seeing anything happening.
Right. So I think, oh, there's that probe. Shit. So right now I'm probably wanting to get some roaches out. Yeah.
Yeah. And ling speed. So probably roaches, then ling speed, just for the early game purposes. But the tough thing, like I said, is Stargate play is really, you're so disconnected from the 2 hatcheries that he can isolate one. I mean, if he void rays that high yield expansion, your queen is by herself. So you need that early preparation. I love this Overlord sacrifice. I like the timing of it too. So just drone up to all get out right now. These roaches are actually going to be reactionary. This is one of those situations where you don't need the build-up of them just yet. And a sentry, very peculiar, and you're also actually seeing a 2nd and 3rd gateway.
He's just trying to transition into a normal game? As far as I can
yeah, he might just be doing the standard build, which is, like I said, probably the best thing for us. Probes are still coming